Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the 5th ever Moody Sports Podcast. My name is Zach,
My name is Cody.
and today we're going to get into a lot of great things, namely the big one, the two-piece combo Chris Paul and Rondo exchange with each other. But also on top of that, we're going to talk about the Astros funeral that is taking place now and for probably 5 or 6 minutes. We're going to be talking about Houston U of H's game against Navy, and then their big game this week, this Saturday at 2:30. Show up and be loud against USF. My bad. And also, we're going to talk about the Texans and their game against the Jaguars and how they are now the
leader in the AFC South.
Oh man, the 11th college division, the AFC South. And then at the
But
very end,
it's a beautiful sight.
And then at the very end to cap it all off, we're going to finish it with the Lakers game and how we want to trade the entire Rockets team for anything at this point, because it's early in the season. We like making bad decisions. All right. Let's get started. Cody, get us breaking with the bad news at Stroh's.
Our lovely hometown team, the Astros, sadly got basically swept.
It was bad. It was a gentleman's sweep. Gentleman's sweep.
The ALCS series. It was, I'm going to say, very heartbreaking because they looked so well in Game 1 and so well in Game 2 and then just didn't show up for Games 3 through 5.
Yeah, there wasn't a bad game until everything went south with that terrible call by Mr. Joe West, the worst umpire in baseball history. Oh, no, he'll be named because I want people to know. I want them to know. Yeah, but despite that call, we did lose the next two without his help.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 10-9, but you know what? I don't even know baseball that well, but I do know that there's a rule that I saw throughout all of Twitter, and I didn't even understand what it meant when it was read to me. But then when they explained it in idiot terms, it made perfect sense. Let me tell you, stadiums, right? There's a field of play. And if, as we've seen many a time, a naked man runs across the field, he gets body slammed by a security force. But you know what? If he's is in those stands and he's being a obnoxious jerk,
it's okay.
It's okay. It's fine. It's baseball. You know what? You're out there. Any sport.
If you're not obnoxious and drunk at a baseball game, are you really at the baseball game?
Are you really at a baseball game? Because nobody watches baseball games for the baseball. Are you crazy? That's not why I've ever gone to a baseball game. I've gone for the free T-shirts. So yeah, there's a rule that if you reach over into the crowd, it's fair play, man. Welcome to the mean streets of Bud Light Stadium. Really, when you're at that point, most of those people can't even say their own name, let alone realize they're at a baseball game. So when you're up there, anything goes. So the outfielder, don't remember his name, don't care, and I won't even look it up because Boston stinks, reached over, and, everybody else, they want themselves a playoff baseball. They went for it too. Astro fans, strong as ever. Houston Strong came up with that baseball, and he missed it. And wonderful, wonderful Joe West, that great guy.
Fantastic guy.
Oh, love him. Made an idiot call and said that the fan interfered, which is ridiculous because there is a rule stated in very complicated English that says that if you go into the stands, fair play. Anybody can get that thing. And if you watch the video, he closes his glove before anybody touches him, and the baseball misses his glove. It's crazy. It's just crazy to me that anybody would think that should be an out. Any comments on that?
I think you explained it pretty well. I think the rule specifically says that if the player leaves the playing field to catch a ball but misses, it is not fans' interference. So if you watch the replay, he's a good 2 or 3 feet over the wall and still misses.
Yep.
So based on my eyes and based on the rule, I think he should have been safe. It should have been a home run, but
yeah. Here's also a thing. We're also ignoring the fact that we then went on and lost the next 2 games. Not even It wasn't like, oh no, we might win. No, like we lost them pretty handedly. We're just trying to soak our sadness and blame it on somebody else.
Oh, we are blaming it on someone else. I blame Joe West for the entire series.
It's Joe. Yeah, it's Joe.
Joe West.
Joe West made it where we couldn't hit the ball very well. Joe West made it where
But
we
the thing
couldn't
is,
catch
like
it.
it was quite clear that the momentum shifted. Like we had a chance to win that game, and then once the out was called, the entire series momentum shifted towards Boston, and they just full steam ahead for them.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, you got to show up no matter what. It's like it's not exactly the same, but way back the not bad news Bears. I'm sorry, the Cubs, where that guy he caught the baseball and then cost him that game. People forget there was another game that the Cubs had a chance of winning, and they lost. So they can blame that guy all they want. It's not entirely his fault. And also, that in a similar sense, but not really. The Astros kind of
I'm still blaming Joe West regardless.
Oh no, yeah. In my public life, I'm gonna blame him all I want. But here, with you, our secret internet friends, I'm gonna say it. It was probably us. We didn't show up. But you know what? If anybody asks me if I get in any Twitter fights that mean nothing, I'm full on blaming it on Joe West because the Astros are infallible and make no mistakes.
Of course.
All right, moving on from these funeral proceedings, we're going to move on to our next thing, which I believe is the U of H game.
Yes.
Is that what we got on there? Man. Had a good one. Another solid conference win. The division, our side of the division is ours to lose. It was a fun one, man. Wrong game. Whoops. Oh, I got 2 Rocket scores up here. I didn't even realize. U of H pulls away 49-36, but 2 of those touchdowns by Navy coming in garbage time. We had our 2s and 3s in. Some redshirt guys. Man,
they came in the last 2 minutes of the game. Like the entire game.
Oh, yeah. We originally, me and my pops, we went and tried to watch it because thanks to N-Touch, shout out to the terrible N-Touch for taking CBS Sports off our package without telling us. We haven't been able to watch the game at home, so we've been having to go to these dingy sports bars or BW3 and have some guy pester us if we want to buy more wings, but really we just want to watch the game. And when we first started watching it, man, it looked bad. I think we were down early 17-7.
Yeah.
Navy
17-7.
In the
Navy
offense
looked unstoppable.
Yeah, they really did. And the worst part was they were running 2 plays.
Yeah.
And out of 1 play. It was a triple option. It was a dive or a pitch. Dive, quarterback sneak, or a pitch.
Occasionally they would throw it for a 50-yard game.
Man, I don't know if that. Yeah, but in that first quarter,
they didn't throw it. I don't think they threw it in the first quarter.
I remember we were watching it on the biggest screen because of course it was on the biggest screen watching our shame. It was like a dive, 6 yards. And then we'd shut Ed Oliver or whoever was inside those tackles, shut down that dive, looked great. So they run the pitch play. There was literally a drive where they just pretty much said, "I dare you to stop us because we're gonna run the same play every time." It was the fake dive pitch. There's an option pitch every time. They did it. I mean, probably 4 or 5 plays in a row, and they scored on that drive. They marched. They didn't even march on us. They just got big, huge, 8-yard gains every play. It was ridiculous watching that.
Still gonna blame the defensive coordinator for that. Although in the second half he did do really well, and I would say shutting them out despite the 2.
Yeah, they made adjustments.
Minutes.
They made adjustments, but somebody got in his ear. Somebody finally got in his ear.
At least with the option offense, you want the corners to not play hard, so you have room to pitch or keep the ball, depending on what the quarterback decides to do.
Yeah, but that's the thing. In that defense, or with their offense, let me say, I'm not a defensive genius. Don't claim to be. Actually, well, I will. I'm a Twitter defensive coordinator. If anybody's looking to hire me, I'm out there. But our cornerbacks were 12 yards off their receivers. We had 2 safeties back, 4 down linemen, and 3 linebackers that were 5 yards back in the first half. Navy has 30 guys on the line. It looked like they put the entire, Navy Academy up there.
Yeah.
And they were just saying, we're going to run here or we're going to run here. They had 2 directions. It was either right up the middle or it was just barely outside. And they just did that over and over again. And D'Onofrio, I guess, sat on the sideline we're fine, guys. Who cares if they score? If they score, we get the ball back, right? It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It was insulting.
There's no possible way that you could stop that offense when your cornerbacks and your linebackers are more than 5 yards off the ball.
Yeah, the math didn't.
You're giving them 3 yards.
Yeah,
And that's what
that's
that
what they want.
offense
That's all they
thrives
want.
on.
That's
They
all they
don't
want.
want big plays. The big plays come on their play action passes when
Uh-huh.
people are just wide open.
Mm-hmm.
But they're looking for 3, 4, 5 yards a play, and just driving down slowly, taking up clock. I think
It was crazy.
time of possession was they had like twice the time of possession we did.
It was crazy, and we scored way more points than they did. One thing I noticed is I've been kind of like internal clock timing our games, and every game this season U of H every quarter takes about 40 to 45 minutes. This game, because of the way Navy plays, the run inside the hash marks, these quarters were 30 minutes. So this game was 2 hours instead of 4 or 3.5 or whatever. So which was nice, because more daytime to us. But it was just weird seeing that change the pace, because it would be Navy driving for 8-10 minutes, and U of H getting the ball and scoring in 3, or just 3 and out.
Yeah.
It was just weird. I don't think we forced them to punt until late in the second half.
Something like
quarter,
that.
second quarter, or maybe
something like
maybe
that.
not even into the third half, because the Navy.
Third half?
Yeah, sorry, it's
Yeah,
early.
third
It's
half.
yeah, give me a break. Navy, if it's 4th and short, they go for it. If it's they're inside their 50. So, and that was always scary, because they got every first down they ever wanted and more. It was ridiculous. But we're sounding like we got killed. We won this game because of second half adjustments, whatever they were. They came out and they said, wait a second, we got to stop the run. And Ed Oliver went beast mode. A player I'll be talking about a little bit more later, Austin Robinson, with 21 tackles. Man, he won a plethora of awards for like defensive player of the week in like the entire NCAA. Guy was crazy. And just, all around good play from everybody. Meeting the blocker before he got downfield, I think, was a big thing.
Yeah.
They stopped a convoy from running down our throats, which was really important. Running backs were all by themselves later on in the game, and that was a big, big change. Yeah, and then our offense does what our offense does: score 1,000,000 points. Was it Marquez Stevenson, 150 yards? You said
141 yards.
140 yards.
Only on 6 receptions.
Yeah, because he would catch it, 20 yards downfield and turn that into 40 yards, turn that into 60 yards. He was great. I mean, he just did what he does. He's great, making people miss. I'd say one of our receivers didn't have a very good game. Corbin.
He dropped 4 balls.
Yeah,
But if I remember correctly, on one drive he dropped 2 and then caught a contested one on the it was a touchdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, or he got tackled on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, something like that.
He didn't look as bad, or he looked worse than he actually was.
Yeah.
People on the message boards were crying for his head on a stick, man. They were so mad. They said he should spend the rest of the game next to Applewhite. But man, he showed up when we needed him in that last second, or those last big possessions before we started pushing ourselves away from Navy. Caught a big one. Yeah, caught that big one that ended up with him on the 1. Made some clutch catches in between there. He really had a tale of 2 halves.
Yeah.
Or tale of more like 3 quarters.
Yeah. Because I don't think they played the starters at the end of the 4th quarter.
No. But really improved as it went on, which was nice, seeing a change. Because, I don't like saying this because it's not really a good thing. But, this season we've proven that we're a second-half team, which I hate because you can't be a second-half team against everybody.
You got to play all game.
Exactly. But also that gets us some wins, and we won another one. I mean, we're 2-0 in conference. USF isn't even on our side. Truth be told, we're on the weaker side of the conference, but that's okay with us because it gets us to the championship. Got to beat Memphis. Got to beat Tulane. Tulane. Not since Cincinnati's on the other side. Who else? I should know this. I do know this. I'm blanking. SMU.
I think so.
SMU.
Tulsa, I think, is on this side too.
Tulsa. We already played Tulsa.
Yeah.
Tulsa and Navy. Yeah, those are our guys. We're really lucky that we're on our side. But UCF on the other one, Cincinnati, Connecticut. Connecticut, they're not very good. They're not good. Even though they took USF to the wire the other night, which is a good sign for us because we're playing UCF this night. Let's talk about them a little bit. Kind of got distracted a little bit, but UCF
Predictions.
21st in the AP poll, right?
Yeah, 2021.
Still undefeated, which is a big game. Huge for us. Huge for U of H. If U of H wins this game, they're ranked.
Without a doubt.
They're already in some people's AP polls. I've seen them as high as 23 in some people's.
Yeah.
Which to me is crazy. I don't think we're 23rd, but I mean it's nice. Feels good. We're also in the AAC conference poll. We're second in strength behind, obviously,
UCF.
SMU.
SMU.
No, yeah, UCF. Man, a little tangent. This is gonna be a little off
I
topic.
think I know what you're about to talk about.
And not maybe, but I don't think you do. This is about UCF, and I was on the CFB college football Reddit, and I saw something from an Alabama fan, of course, talking about how they don't feel like UCF, in the position they're in, deserves to be in the college football playoff with 20 straight wins. And they said, this is what blew my mind. They said, even if they won out this season, which I hope they don't because we're going to probably play them in the conference championship, even if they won out this season, they do not deserve to be in the college football playoff. Then who does? Alabama, Clemson, right away. Boom, no problem. Who are the next two that you are surefire deserve to be in that spot?
Maybe Georgia.
Maybe they just lost to LSU, and a loss this late in the season usually hurts. It stings more than early in the season.
LSU, I guess, would be another one.
I just can't see it because people like to say SEC is a super tough conference. Okay, Alabama, duh. They shouldn't even be counted as an opponent anymore. They should just count as everybody's death angel. They kill everything they touch. LSU, a good team. Georgia, at the beginning of the season, looked unstoppable. But then after that LSU game and even a couple games before that, they started to show some well, maybe they're human after all. And they've fallen from glory pretty hard. Besides them, who's in that conference? Who can you push at me that I'm like, man, that's a great team? Tennessee, garbage. Arkansas State,
worse than garbage.
Worse than garbage. They're downright terrible. Kentucky,
good at basketball.
They've been good this year. But my thing is, a lot of teams are in Kentucky's position where they're good, but then they get kicked out. Kentucky is the outsider looking in for the SEC. Ooh, Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt's killer. Those Commodores, man, they really bring the pain every time you play them. Florida's been great this year too, right? It's ridiculous to me that people say the reason you don't deserve to be in is because you're not in the SEC. I think that's like, if you think that, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. That's how stupid I think that statement is. And especially because teams are required to set their schedules 5 to 8 years in advance. You have to find a team that will actually play you. For a team that isn't in a conference that's, storied and strong, they have to guess which opponent's going to be good in 5 to 8 years, which, again, is ridiculous. That was the point of the argument he made. He would make points that would argue why UCF deserves to be in, but then say they shouldn't be in simply because it's like, well, yeah, those guys aren't good anymore, or these guys aren't good anymore, and it didn't make any sense to me. But a little off topic, I know, but I mean, just another reason why I think the cartel NCAA needs to be torn apart and made into something new. They're the guys that suspended Rob Gray for a game because he played in a church league and had the fee covered. The fee, the substantial amount of $5, which paid for the jersey.
Dude, that's a lot of money.
What type of sick idiot?
$5, dude. That's a lot of money. That's all I gotta say.
What type of sick, twisted, demented demon gets their church basketball league fine of $5 covered? They're just stealing from the people, man. Rob Gray's a dirty thief stealing from the people.
Honestly.
It's ridiculous. Suspended. I should have been gone for the season. ruin his senior year. Why
He
not?
should be in the pros right now.
Oh,
They should suspend
Disgusting.
him for all basketball.
disgusting. Federal crime.
Honestly,
Arrest him.
why is he not in jail right now?
That's what I'm wondering. Put a bounty on his head. Goodness, bounty on the man bun. But
Exactly.
that's a whole nother topic. I could talk for hours about how the NCAA is a cartel and ruined most college sports, amateur sports,
Yeah.
because college sports are still amateur sports. Sure. All right, but yeah. Before we move on to the next thing, before we move on to the Texans, who's your MVP of the game?
MVP of the game. I'm gonna say De'Aaron King.
De'Aaron King. Oh yeah, he had a great performance. Over 400 yards, right?
He showed off both sides of the
Both sides of the ball.
both sides of the offensive spectrum, running and passing. Passing, he was 25 for 38 with 413 yards and 3 touchdowns.
413 yards.
400 yards by himself.
Oh my goodness.
And then he had 7 rushes for 56 yards and 1 touchdown. He had 460 yards out of the 570 the entire team got.
I'd say that's pretty good. I'd say
And the thing is, he didn't even play all 4 quarters. He played
he didn't. He
maybe
came out.
2 minutes in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, he came out.
maybe.
Man, he was nuts, man. It was fun watching that because in years past, last year, our offense was one you had to worry about. So, our defense would get a stop against Navy, which we've never been able to figure out Navy's offense until, the second half of this last game. But, our defense would get a stop. We're like, oh, man, our offense can do something. Our offense was bad. This year, and especially this game, it was like, oh, finally, our defense got him off the field. All right, let's go score. And 4 plays later, 60 yards, touchdown.
Scored 49 points.
3 plays, 80 yards, touchdown.
49 points in only 17 minutes of possession.
Yep. Still haven't scored under 40. We're not going to do that the whole season.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
This late into the season, there's no way we score
The
under
only
40.
team I could see not scoring 40 on is UCF.
Ridiculous. False narrative.
But I believe
Fake
that game
news.
is going to be just an offensive blowout. But
Fake
anyways,
news.
that's for a later week.
Yeah, that's really going to be a battle of the defenses. Who can get one stop? Whoever gets that one stop, they win.
All right. Who's your MVP?
Oh man. On the defensive side with 21 tackles, Ed Oliver's supporting linebackers, Austin Robinson, had the craziest game in recent U of H memory. I mean, in the past 5 or 6 years. 21 tackles, 11 solo tackles, I think 4 tackles for loss and 2 sacks, 19 yards in sacks. Guy was crazy.
Yeah.
Guy was crazy. I mean, in that first half, when we couldn't stop him, he was the one thing we had going for us. I want you to imagine how many plays there are in a game, right? There's not that in the what, 70s?
Yeah.
80s? Maybe offense. Maybe you have each offense has about 80 plays, 90 plays.
I wouldn't even say that much. Depends on.
That's being generous.
Especially with this game, I'm saying closer to like 65.
Yeah. Whatever it is. The guy was in on 21 of those. That's crazy to me. There was every 4 or 5 plays he made a tackle. Just flying all over the field. Being honest, until this game, I hadn't heard of this guy.
Yeah.
He was,
Came out of nowhere.
Everybody knows about Ed Oliver. Everybody knows about Chambers, even though he's injured. So just having him, and then we also talked about the cornerbacks and safeties because they were non-existent. But just hearing from somebody that isn't those 3 groups is crazy. Just showed up, and man, he showed out. 21 tackles, 11 solo, 10 assists, 2 sacks. If he does that every week, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
I think he was a big part in the second half on getting those stops that we needed to push our lead.
Changing momentum, Really, once we get that one stop, then you get another one. Then you get another one. Navy's offense is designed that if they have to stay ahead. They have to keep it within 1 score. Because their offense takes so long, 8-9 minute drives, that if they fall 2 scores behind, they're shooting themselves in the foot because they take so long to move that ball downfield. They're hurting themselves.
Yeah.
So to get those stops that were so necessary, man, it was so important. It was so fun to actually have that change of pace instead of years past. So before we move on, let's look into our crystal ball. Predicting the score for UCF.
Predicting the score. I'm gonna say, it's gonna be a pretty much offensive dominance. Although USF hasn't played very well, I'm gonna say like a 49-35 kind of game with U of H on top.
Oh, very similar to this Navy game.
Yes, very similar.
Yeah, you think so? I'm gonna go. I think U of H gets 56.
Mm-hmm.
Shocker! I think U of H wins.
Wow.
USF. I mean, USF is competitive, and I know they didn't play well against Connecticut, but they're still undefeated. And they play a lot of similar opponents that we do. So I think they're plenty good. And I'm not gonna underestimate them. I still think we beat them, but I think we only beat them because it's at Houston. I think if it's at USF, it's a different game. But man, I'm thinking USF gets 40, 42,
42.
42. The only reason I think U of H wins this game is because I look back to last year when De'Aaron King makes his first start against USF, or his first big amount of playing time was against USF, and that last second touchdown he made where he reversed field and he ran all the way like 30-something yards for a touchdown and won the game. That was crazy. And I'm just holding on to those glory moments. Because last year we all knew those glory moments were few and far between. So I just keep that close to my heart.
Little to none.
Keep that close to my heart. I think U of H pulls this one out. I think they win it. And I think it makes a statement. Because if they win this game, they're back on the radar. And UCF is really it. After we beat USF, UCF is the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get there, obviously, because we don't play them in our regular season. We got to play them in the championship.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's. I'm using hand signals here. It's UCF for U of H. I'm not putting U of H in this scale because we can't beat ourselves. But UCF is there at the top. Then it's USF.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And then it's a bunch of garbage. Or not really a bunch of garbage, just everybody.
Not as good.
Yeah, well, everybody's just so close after that. I think up until you get down to your
ECUs.
Connecticut's and your ECUs. Yeah. All right, that's enough about that though. Let's move on to before we get to the Rockets, we're gonna talk about one more thing, and that's the Texans. The last thing, and then we'll get into that debacle. But they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars at Jacksonville.
Yes, I believe so. At
20-7, where the religion of Blake Bortles finally crumbled, and was it Cody Kessler? Oh goodness,
The GOAT.
the goat.
Tom Brady who?
No, that's what they're saying about it's Michael Jordan who, and that's what they're saying about Bortles. Last year when he was like, "Hey man, Michael Jordan had haters. You got to move on." I'll give him credit. Takes a lot of gumption. To say you are the same as Michael Jordan. Especially when you're a lukewarm quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Lukewarm at best.
It was so ridiculous last year hearing that. I'm in full support though. Anytime I hear any player go on some tirade about how great they are, but it's in a response to the media because some media idiot says some ignorant comment to the guy himself, I'm all for some player going off and saying he's the best of all time. I guarantee you, if I'm in a gym playing any sport, even if I don't know the name of the sport, if somebody comes up to me and says, "You suck," first thing I'm saying is, "I'm better than you." Don't know who it is. Don't even know what the ball is, like the shape of the ball, but I'm going to say I'm better than whoever I'm looking at. My cousin plays soccer, D3 soccer. She plays college soccer, and when we play, I talk the most smack ever, and I say I'm going to destroy her, and then I lose 6-0. Doesn't matter. I'm still going to beat her every time we play. But yeah, the Church of Bortles, Michael Jordan who fell apart. Cody Kessler went in there and looked average.
At best.
At best.
I wouldn't even say average.
Deshaun Watson.
Although I think he had the touchdown.
He
led that drive for the touchdown.
He had a touchdown, but he also had an interception. I mean, what do you want?
Yeah, sure.
Deshaun Watson looked as explosive as ever and was average.
Yeah.
What did you say? 129 yards? 39 yards. 139 yards and a touchdown. Hey, no picks this time. That's always good.
Yeah. I think that's his first game of this season
Without
with
a
no
pick?
picks.
I think he's I can't remember.
It was his first one in like 6 games or something like that.
Maybe. Threw exactly 50%, 12 of 24. They really relied on Lamar Miller,
Yeah.
who has been non-existent all season.
Actually, although he did decent, they were leading rushing in the first couple games, believe it or not. The Texans were. But I
That's
think
crazy to me because those games were so
I think
bad.
they exposed the Jacksonville defense.
Yeah, which is crazy because Jacksonville, they've been able to hang their hat on their defense. You know, their defense kind of carried their offense is what, that's what happened last playoff or in the playoffs last year. And that's what people were saying going into this season, especially with Ramsey back there. But, yeah, man, Miller, where has he been this whole season? And I'm glad he's here. I'm a big Alfred Blue fan myself. But, I mean, if the Texans are winning and the guy we pay the most money actually shows up, then, hey, I'm all for it.
I think he's been behind the subpar offensive line. I know in the beginning,
subpar is being nice.
Yeah.
We're moving on. As the season's progressed, the offensive line has looked progressively worse. Most people, they trend up.
Trending down.
The Texans' offensive line has trended down. Like not even like steadily down. Like a hard, sharp dart into the ground. Like somebody just
threw a ball.
Yeah, it was bad. It's been bad. But despite that, I mean, he was able to navigate from the backfield into some sort of what was it? A semblance? Nope, wrong word. He looked like a running back despite our terrible offensive resemblance. Yeah, there we go.
He resembled an actual running back.
Yeah, 100 yards, 22 carries,
and a touchdown.
Yeah. Which, I mean, when's the last time you saw a Texans player with over 100 yards rushing? Ever.
Arian Foster, and that's Arian Foster. I'm sure there was some
the vegan mean green machine.
Vegetarian, thank you. I'm sure there was one in between there, but that's the last one I could actually remember.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, so Texans were actually fun to watch a little bit because we won a game and we scored more than 2 touchdowns. We scored 2 touchdowns. My bad. We scored more than 1 touchdown. Crazy. We were balanced.
Yeah.
As in we scored 1 one rushing touchdown and 1 passing touchdown.
Our kicker didn't score all of our points.
he's not our MVP this week. I'm gonna say something crazy. Lamar Miller was our MVP of the week.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that.
Hot take.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one.
Defense played great. Defense has been we're you know what we are? The Texans this year are what the Jacksonville Jaguars were last year. Great defense. Maybe the offense will show up this week. Maybe they won't. You know?
Maybe we'll get lucky.
I mean, because
didn't show up this week, clearly. Only about 250 yards or so.
Yeah, but 20 points. NFL, I feel like, is different than college because it really, you're, not every week you're going to put up 50 points, Yeah,
50 points is very rare.
Yeah, the spread doesn't work as much in the NFL because everybody's way more athletic. Defenders can keep up. But, these 250 yards, right? No, 239, my bad. No, yeah, something like that. 250, 260, 270, whatever it was. Texans looked solid on offense. Defense looked great. Shut down God tier Bortles and then God tier Kessler. The real dynamic duo.
Tom Brady who?
Tom Brady who? The dynamic duo of the NFL, the AFC South.
Oh, unstoppable.
I told Cody this earlier. He told me to shut up because he didn't like it, but I think it's the truth. The Texans aren't good, but you know who else isn't good? Anybody in the AFC South.
It's okay. As long as we continue winning, that's okay.
Yeah, you're right. That's my thing, though. I think from top to bottom, we can play anybody, and the chances of winning or losing is 50-50. From the Colts, Jags, Titans, whoever in our division. Doesn't matter who we play. It's a toss-up on if we win that or not.
Whether our offense shows up.
Yeah, whether our offense shows up.
Point.
Yeah. whether the other team's offense shows up. I mean, Andrew Luck had a crazy game this last week. Showed up in that 1920s or 1930s Great Depression outfit and just put on a smackdown on who they played. The Bills, you said?
Yeah.
That was crazy. Where has that been? But
It's also the Bills.
It's also the Bills.
They had a guy quit at halftime.
Was it Vernon Davis?
Something like
No,
that.
it's something. Yeah, Davis. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
He quit on his team. Who cares what his name is? But yeah, I mean the Texans. You get what you get. Really, you know. You're probably tickets cost more than the actual viewing experience. But hey, man, who cares? If we keep winning, I guess I really can't complain. I owe an apology that maybe we shouldn't tank anymore. You know what? No. I still think we should tank. We're obviously not tanking. I still think we should tank. But I sit firmly in the belief that we're going to finish this season 8-8.
Think so?
I think so. Cody went really optimistic and he blew my mind. He said we might go 10-6, which I think, whoa, hey, calm down.
On pace.
0-3 and then 4-0. A tale of two halves right there.
My bold prediction, I think Jacksonville gets last in the division. That's my bold prediction.
See, that's my thing.
They're absolutely
Who knows?
on a straight downhill right now.
Yeah, they're spiraling out of control.
They started out as this strong contender for maybe a Super Bowl at the beginning of the year, and now they lost 2 games by only scoring 1 touchdown. Like, I don't know. My prediction is that the Colts beat them the next time they play.
Wow.
The Colts. The
Colts.
2-5, 3-4, whatever Colts. Whatever they are.
The whatever and whatever Colts.
I believe they beat them, and Jacksonville becomes last in the division.
Here's my thing. My prediction on who wins and loses our division. I don't know. I mean, it's like you know, like those cheap Chinese fireworks you buy for New Year's.
Oh, whether they work or not is 50-50. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Not even that. Kind of. That's actually part of it because you don't know if you're every
blown
team.
Off,
you don't know if your offense is gonna work or not. But you get those long ones that are supposed to like they shoot off multiple or whatever. Like a box and it shoots off just all different all over the place. That's what the AFC South is. You light it and you don't know which one's gonna go off one week or which one's just gonna be a dud one week. But it's all over the place. It's messy, and if you're with if you're within 3 feet of it, you're dead. Anybody in the AFC that plays anybody in the AFC, you flip a coin and probably make a more educated choice on who's going to win it. You don't know who's going to flame out that week. You don't know who's going to explode for 1,000,000 points or who's going to, be a dud and score -6. I mean, like, some teams are giving up safeties. They're scoring more points for the other team than they are for themselves. It's crazy. This division is dog trash.
That's saying it nicely.
I
I
mean,
wouldn't even give them the dog trash level. They're below dog trash.
If
If
they
there
were-
is a level below dog trash.
Guys, ketchup water. So one of my friends used to say in high school. Like he says, like, he'd call people ketchup water if they really want to get there. Cause you never hear that. Nobody ever calls anybody that. But like if
you know exactly.
if
what
somebody
he's
called
talking
you
about.
ketchup water, you just feel bad and you feel insulted. The AFC South is ketchup water. There's not a worse division of football. If they wanted to up the quality of if they wanted to upgrade the prestige of the AFC South, they should really add the Alabama Crimson Wave, Crimson Tide. Wave. I don't care. I don't like
Yeah,
it.
same thing.
And maybe maybe a CFL team. I don't know. Spice it up. The Vancouver Canucks or I don't know Canadian football. Who cares?
Yeah, not important.
But just throw in any one of those teams, and the AFC South would probably go from an F to an F+.
Dude, that's a big jump.
That'd be a big jump. Maybe they wouldn't be embarrassing to watch
That's
if that
like
happened.
you're assuming that they're not an F- already.
Oh my gosh, it's hard. It's just gross. All right, let's move on to the final match.
There was a match.
The match. What is it? What is the UCF term? The card. The ticket. The big ticket.
Big ticket, something like that.
I don't know. I don't watch that stuff. But the big ticket fight. It's gonna be the L.A. Lakers versus the Houston Rockets at L.A. LeBron's debut for the City of Dreams. And then what happened later in the game when emotions were getting high, and Rondo, Franklin the Turtle, let a loogie fly right into Chris Paul's face, and Chris Paul tried to pluck out his eyeball. Man, that stuff was nuts.
Hit him with that 1-2 combo.
It's crazy. If you don't know what happened was James Harden went in for a layup. This is how it all started. James Harden does what he always does, and he draws a foul. He makes it look like the other guy, the other guy's the reason it all happened, when really it's James Harden's big, strong body moving people. And he's doing a Euro step, and Brandon Ingram?
Yes.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram tries to get in there and swipe the ball out. And James Harden, does what he does, and he pushes him out of the way with his arm, but then flails for a layup, makes it, They don't call it. I don't think they called anything, but Brandon Ingram got mad because he was getting beat like a drum.
They called the foul, but they didn't. The bucket didn't count. They said the foul was on the floor, not in the continuation of the shot.
Oh, right, because the continuation rule only applies to James Harden, and they don't apply it to anybody else in the rest of the league.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so Brandon Ingram gets mad. He's like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" And he gets in the ref's face. No, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
He pushes James
Harden. James
Harden's like, "What the heck, man?
Yeah,
what did I do? You just suck at basketball."
Hey, stop being bad, I guess.
Brandon Ingram pushes him, and then
gets the quick technical, a T1.
And then he gets mad at the ref for giving him the technical when it was clear that the push was not necessary at all.
Yeah, he's getting in the ref's face, trying to cause problems. Boom, gets a suspension. He's getting a suspension after that for sure.
Yeah.
And then Rondo and Chris Paul, two guys that are known to have a beef with each other ever since the Celtics and New Orleans Hornets, way back in the day when Chris Paul was a rookie. They were getting into it because they always do. And Rondo and Chris Paul are in each other's faces in there. They're mean mugging, normal NBA garbage. And from a distance, from the perspective the fans were given, you just see Chris Paul reach into Rondo's face, and he's like digging into his eye, trying to dig for gold.
Rip his eye out or something.
Yeah, he's trying to shred that thing. And Rondo comes up, hits him with the haymaker right in the face. Kind of a punk move.
If someone poked me in the eye like that, I'd probably punch him
too.
Oh,
yeah. Right, but we'll talk about that later. If I'm getting poked without provocation or without provoking anything, yeah, of course I'm going to punch back, right? Our boy Chris Paul shows that he's from the mean streets of Houston, Texas. Hits him once in the face with the left, and then uppercuts him with the right before Big Brother LeBron.
Right as LeBron
banana boat brother LeBron rips him away. They separated. Ingram, a guy who's just begging. He's trying to get a prison sentence. I don't know what the dude's doing. Tries to come in and sucker punch. Tries to sucker punch PJ Tucker, Peacemaker PJ Tucker, which is crazy for me to say that. PJ Tucker is supposed to be like one of our enforcers, is like trying to separate everybody. Ingram comes and tries to sucker punch him, misses. Thank goodness, because he would have probably broken every bone in his body. That slender man. Lance Stevenson
hit him with that Superman punch.
Lance Stevenson, known for his peaceful ways in the NBA, comes in and separates everybody. And it was really quick. It burned out pretty fast, but it was a bright light. And after all that, there was an investigation by the fans of the NBA called Spitgate. Did you see this on Twitter?
I didn't see that, Spitgate.
Because Rondo said, "No, I didn't spit in nobody's face. I swear on it. I promise. Never spit in his face. Never didn't do anything like that." And Chris Paul said, "No, he spit in my face." Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony were like, "No, he spit in his face. He got hit him in the eye. That's why he went and poked at him." Right? You can see in the video he reacts and dodges, or he wipes his eye. So for a while, people were saying, they did some investigation, which is important. What Twitter does best, and they were saying, wait a second, it looks like from the first video that was released, it looked like Carmelo Anthony was the one who spit in Chris Paul's eye, and everybody was quick to jump on Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony. Some were even saying Carmelo Anthony knew he spit in Chris Paul's eye, but he was trying to cover it up, which is ridiculous to me. But then an angel from the Lord himself released a video, a breakdown that zooms in closer and closer every different shot.
Slow-mo and everything, the whole 9 yards.
of Rondo releasing a loogie right into his eye. Which is it? Let's talk about how impressive that is to do that with a mouthpiece. To casually look away as you release it, and it hits him right in the pocket. Impressive. Give it to Rondo.
He's got good aim.
Yeah,
he's been known for being a good passer.
Yeah,
so.
he throws accurate passes. Why can't he hawk an accurate loogie? But yeah, after that was released, people were quick to shut up. You didn't see a lot of people, those people that were talking a lot of garbage against Chris Paul, because nobody liked Chris Paul unless he's on your team for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Because he absolutely destroys you.
He
on
absolutely
defense.
destroys people. That's true. And he's a Rocket, which it's fun to hate on
Yeah.
the Rockets, for whatever reason. Yeah. So everybody was hating on Chris Paul. As soon as it was blamed on Rondo. Nobody said anything. The only people I saw reporting it were the main stations, but you didn't see all those individual reporters talking about it. So then it came to suspensions, which we haven't had a fight like this since Perkins in 2012.
Something like that, yeah.
Haven't had any sort of confrontation like this. So people were expecting, a harsh punishment. 15 games was some people were saying, which is crazy to me. But I didn't think 15, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was double digits.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 10, 12, but 15 seems crazy. But actually, what the NBA dropped, because one of the NBA's commissioners, one of the main big members was in there. I can't remember. He's got a long, complicated name, but he was in there, and he gave 4 games to Ingram, 3 games to Rondo, and 2 to Paul.
Yes.
I have some comments on that, but before I say those, I want to hear what yours are.
My comments on the game.
Your
or
thoughts on. We'll talk about the game in a little. We'll talk about the game in a little bit.
The whole fight, or the whole 9 yards.
The suspensions.
Honestly, and this is coming from a Rockets fan, I think all of the suspensions are way too short. 2 games.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Even though Chris Paul was provoked or whatever, I still think hitting Rondo with that 1-2 combo deserves more than a 2-game suspension.
Pop pop.
I get that the fight was broken up pretty early, and if it didn't, they probably would have gone for a longer suspension. But I think Ingram should have been at least 10 games because I basically provoked the fight by pushing James Harden, and then that's what caused Rondo and Paul to get together and start talking smack.
Yeah.
Which led to the spit, the 1-2 combo, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I think he's the one who should have got the larger suspension. Plus, he came in with a sucker punch at the very end.
Yeah.
He
missed, but yeah, he did. So give me your, to shorten it up a little bit, give me your numbers. How many games do you think
I
want to
say 12, Brandon Ingram.
Okay.
And then 6 or 7, but they pretty much do even numbers in my from what I've seen. So we'll say 8 for Rondo and then 6 for Chris Paul.
Wow, that seems extreme to me. Let me tell you mine. I'm obviously going to lean more to the Rockets, but let me tell you why. I'm a big fan of the NBA TV show. They have it on YouTube, but it's called The Starters. And shout out to them. They're a big inspiration for me. And they talked about it. Lee Ellis, he's the Aussie from down under, gave a good explanation of this. He said that he felt like the one who should get the most game suspended should be Rondo, which at first shocked me. I didn't understand why, but the more he spoke about it, the more it made sense. His explanation was that while Ingram came in and started all of it, we've seen punches been thrown before, and Ingram didn't connect with anybody. He gave a push, which we see all the time. He was jawing. The worst thing he probably did was get in that ref's face, but still nothing crazy, right? Think about what Rondo did is that Rondo took a moment that happens all the time, and he
made it worse.
He made it worse. That what happened there happens all the time in the NBA. The NBA hasn't had a fight in a long time, and even when it happens, it's usually very quick. Quicker. The fight that did happen was very fast, but most times even faster than that. But Rondo spit in his eye, and when somebody spits in your eye, what are you supposed to do?
Punch him back.
Exactly. It's a human response to hit back. It's like you don't think. You have to be able to. It's a human emotion. It's just involuntary is to respond immediately and to swing back. If somebody spits in your eye, you just gotta respond. That's just how it is. So when Rondo does that, he's the instigator. He's the one who's moving things forward. And then Rondo's the first to spit, and Chris Paul responds in a way that is very, I think, and this is a point that Lee Ellis made, is that it was not an appropriate response to what happened. It was very mature of him not to go crazy far at first, but he just pokes him in the eye, right? Like jabs him instead of immediately going to punch. The first guy to throw a punch in that whole thing maybe in our heads we think it's Brandon Ingram, but it's not. It's Rondo. He's the one that spits. He's the one that starts it, and then he's also the first one to punch. Granted, he didn't start the whole thing with, Brandon Ingram being the reason that they get in that argument, but he's the one who made it physical. First spitting a guy's face, which is one of the most disrespectful things you can do ever. To spit in a man's face that close. And then also the first to punch right to the face. Chris Paul's suspension, I think, should have been a 1-game suspension. Because, again, he is responding to everything. He doesn't start anything. He is just responding to things that, honestly, if he would have responded harder, if he would have immediately punched after the spit, I still think that's an appropriate response, right?
Yeah.
But he's able to restrain himself, poke him in the eye, and then 1-2 combo. We know what happens after that. Everybody knows what happens after that. Ingram, I think he sits where he's at, a 4-game suspension, right? Rondo, what did he have? Did I say 3 games?
I thought Rondo had. Yeah, I think he had the 3 games. Yeah,
I can't remember what I said, but yeah, he has less than Brandon, whatever it was. I think an 8-game suspension for Rondo. Take him out for a good amount of games where his pain is felt. Like the whole point of a suspension is that it takes you out of game, but then it also hurts your team.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be something that, because what the NBA said is that you can spit in a man's face, punch him in the face, start a giant fight, and it will only cost you 4 games. That's what the NBA said. The NBA also, though, is very good in handling these types of situations. That's why we haven't seen a fight in 6 years. These rarely happen. There's a lot of rules in place that restrict it from happening. Like if there's a fight on the court and you step onto the court, suspension, right? They really make sure to stop that stuff from happening. But still, I think there should have been a stronger, especially this early in the season. If it was later in the season, that's different because, there's not a lot of time left. But this early in the season, there needs to be a big statement. Even if that means giving Chris Paul a longer suspension, which I don't agree with. But even if that were to happen to kind of push the point, I think that stops a lot of fires. Because we might see, I believe the NBA is better than most other leagues responsibly. Like in its responsibilities, I mean. So I don't think there will be another fight. But if there is, it's on the NBA's hands. And how are they going to punish at that time? Do they give those guys worse punishments? Because that's not fair. So it's difficult. But I think Rondo should definitely have taken the heat. And also the big thing is that was Brandon Ingram's first offense. I
think that's a big part on why it wasn't the first offense this season. I think that's a part of the reason why the suspensions were pretty short, relatively short for what happened.
Yeah. I don't know. Just my opinions. All right. Last thing before we move on, because we're running a little long. But before we let you guys go, a quick segment. This will be our first official segment. Burn it to the ground.
Burn the place down.
Burn the place down. Burn it to the ground. Whatever it is. We're going to talk about how the Rockets are 1-2.
They're trash.
Yep. And the only thing they've won is a fight in the Lakers game, and how we should trade everything, and how the season's over already and just rebuild from now. Cody, what's your big inappropriate decision that we should do right now to fix everything?
I say we trade Melo, CP3, and Harden for draft picks, whatever we can get.
Rebuild.
Rebuild, yeah.
Rebuild
At
right
this
now.
Point, we're garbage. Then fire the entire Rocket staff. Rebuild, get new ones. I don't care. John Gruden from the NFL. We'll take him. Let's go.
But seriously, this is going to be my big opinion that probably doesn't make sense because we have a small sample size. But my thing is we trade Michael Carter-Williams, Marquez Chris, and we bring in whoever the defensive coach is. I don't know who he is right now, but we bring in a new one. Because the guy who's been the key to the Rockets defense these past couple of years retired in the offseason, right before the season started, which hurts. You want to make that decision earlier so that the team has better time to decide, but whatever. The big reason I want to trade Michael Carter-Williams and Marquez Chris. Marquez Chris because he's really an unknown. He's a really athletic, small forward type player, but it doesn't really fit in the Rockets offense because we're spreading the court shooting the ball. And Michael Carter-Williams, because, man, I feel bad for him, but that dude he doesn't fit. He doesn't fit in a lot of systems anymore.
Mm-mm.
he plays like a Sean Livingston, but he's not Sean Livingston, you know? Can't shoot the ball at all. He's an okay defender, but the Rockets brought him in because they needed help with the loss of Trevor Ariza and Bamute. But he hasn't even filled in. He hasn't been close in filling in that role. He's misreading keys on defense. He can't shoot at all.
Which you need to do in the Rockets offense.
Oh my goodness, it's embarrassing. When he's out there, it's 4-on-5 on offense. It's terrible. So yeah, my big move is we trade him, and we put Marquez Quist in there to sweeten the package a little bit. Fire whoever the defense coordinator is now, this early in the season, kind of like when we did with McHale back in the day, and just bring in somebody else. Burn it to the ground. Start from scratch. Trade away Eric Gordon. Let's go get Jimmy Butler.
Honestly, we should just trade our entire staff, including the GM, if that's
Let's
even
do it,
possible.
Man. Hey, let's start a
I don't think it's
let's
possible,
start a
but-
GoFundMe and pay for their salaries.
Oh yeah, they're what, $100 million worth of salaries.
Jump change.
That's it.
All right. We're gonna get out of here, but thanks for joining us. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff here on Moody Sports. Follow our Twitter. Please follow our Twitter. At Moody Sports online. That's where you can see when our videos are first released. I make sure to put up a post as soon as they're out. And then, once we get a small group on there, right now it's just, there's 4 of us. But once we get some more on there, man, we'll start to release, updates on, things that we want to start doing on the channel that will be different. Maybe something besides a podcast. We haven't really talked about this too much, but, just up engagement, Release more than one video a week. Maybe make it a video and a half a week. Go nuts.
Wow.
But all right, yeah. Thanks for talking to us, and we will see you next Tuesday, and hopefully come out with a dub against UCF. All right,
USF.
USF,
Yes.
UCF too. Why not?
Yeah, honestly, you're
Let's
right.
just beat everybody.
Conference champions.
Yeah, let's just do it.
It'll happen.
All right. Adios.